Welcome back. It's been a long time. UnDivorceWitable is in the spot. We just had a live tragedy while we were setting up. My wife's favorite mug died.
It was killed. It didn't just die on its own. It was killed.
Yeah, I guess so. Don't be that way. So how's everybody doing? How you doing, baby? Beside the mug.
I was fine till my mug fell.
Yeah, you ain't been the same. Your energy is dead.
Yes. It was a gift.
I know it was a gift. It was a gift. They got cursed. That thing, but just things. It's just things we will come back to.
Things that have a meaning.
That's true. And you know what, man? Speaking of things lost, today's episode is about surviving 2020. So we actually made it.
Yes. We have survived 2020. And now we are in 2021.
And for us, so many things like have changed in our lives. Stuff that we've done. I mean, like even from our last podcast episode, which was what July. Ooh, it's been a long time. Like I got people in my head asking, when are we dropping another podcast? They've been on my head, y'all.
Well, now they can get off of it.
About this
maybe
podcast.
I can get a new mug.
We got to get her a new mug, y'all.
So
I'm starting to GoFundMe for it so we can bury it.
No, we have insurance. We're not those types of people.
This is for my mug on that gangster drink, that gangster drink. My God, my God. Remember that? Man?
I do remember that.
What a song.
Okay. Anyway, so as you can see, we are doing things differently. Not only are you just hearing us, but you are now seeing us.
Boom. Yeah, we're trying to get the YouTube going.
In the flesh.
And then also we are going to start with this episode on Fridays, trying to engage on Clubhouse.
Yes. Yes. So we're going to be engaging on Clubhouse. So if you are on Clubhouse, then, hey, we can chat, right?
Yeah, so we'll be talking about like what we talked about in this episode in general, right? So the episode you listened to the week of is probably the topic
Thursday.
We're going to talk about on that Friday. So we're trying to engage it, make it poppy. There's so much stuff going on, so much change because of 2020.
Yes, so much. So, what's happened?
Shoot, lots of things happened. I bossed up. That's the biggest thing. I bossed up. Left a long career, 19 years, at a position that I would say was becoming toxic, extremely toxic, and
not becoming
killing time. 12-hour shifts, sometimes 16-hour shifts. It was crazy, man. Like it got to a point where I couldn't take it no more. I'm like, look, I can't live like this. Like people who can live like that, you can work 12, 16-hour days and that type of thing, doing something that you don't want to do. Enjoy that.
Yeah,
it's not for me.
Right. So basically, we started our podcast at the top of 2020.
We did.
And I just want to say this, going back to those people who can work those hour shifts, those, 12-hour shifts and different things. I want to say thank you to our essential workers.
The nurses, especially.
All the nurses
doctors
who do work those 12-hour shifts and 16-hour shifts and 24-hour shifts. We want to say thank you. Of course, we have had an appreciation for nurses and doctors and different things. If you've listened to the last episode, I think it was a 3-part series of last season's podcast, then you would know why we feel that way. If you haven't, I'm not going to tell you anything about it right now. So just, after you listen to this full episode, just go back and listen to that one. Yes. But, of course, 2020 has allowed us to appreciate a lot of people, those essential workers who are not only those in the hospitals, but also those at the grocery store, are essential workers. So we thank you guys. We appreciate you, all of you guys. 2020 has been a whirlwind for everyone. For us, we've experienced some losses in 2020 as far as like some people that we've known, family members, friends that has passed. from COVID.
And other reasons.
In other reasons.
Yeah.
Yet at the same time, we've had some wins in 2020. So as Rand said, he left his career of 19 years, and you left it to do what?
So I got my real estate license, something I've been wanting to do, and also opened up a photo studio. So you can probably see my equipment behind me. It's just a flex on y'all just a little bit, and I'm just playing.
So yeah, even during the pandemic, so at the start, because you had planned on doing that before the pandemic.
Yes. Anger and rage caused me to feel like there was time for a change.
And then the pandemic hit, but it was like, nah, you still gonna do this. So he went forth with it. During the pandemic, he was still working those 12-hour shifts while everyone was stuck at home, wondering if they have a job. Jobs closed down for a couple weeks, whatever. He was still going to work.
And then I'm seeing people on Twitter talking about how they get collecting these $6,000-$7,000 checks off the government for sitting at the crib. And I'm like, man,
let me sit at the crib.
I'm not those people. Some of y'all was getting broke off during the pandemic.
Yes. So one thing I have to say is I am very, very, very proud of you, because you did it. You hit it hard. You went strong for, it was like, what, 3 months?
Yep.
3 months strong, studying, taking the exams, and doing everything to prepare. You did one Saturday, you like locked yourself in the room and did like a live session, cram session, to prepare.
Yep.
And he did all that and passed the exam, the real estate exam, the first time, okay? Not the second, not the third, but he passed it on the first time. I'm so proud of you.
You know, it matters too. One thing about it, you got to have a spouse that supports what you're trying to do. You know, I probably would have done it anyway because of where I was, the environment. It just sucked, man.
And you have to do it for yourself.
Yeah, you got to do it for yourself. But when you have your spouse behind you, like I was lucky enough to, and thank you for being supportive for that, because it really helped me make these moves. And like, life is so different. The way I describe my life now, every day is a Saturday. It's great. It's great. Every day is a Saturday. Like, I didn't have Saturdays off. I was waking up sometimes 2 a.m., 4 a.m. to get to work. Sometimes I get off my normal time, but there'd be times I'm working 12s. So it might be a 2 a.m. shift to 2 p.m. or a 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And don't ask me what I did for a living, because none of your business. Just know I was working hard, and I wasn't on my own time, and I was barely making the man's dime. No, I was getting paid good. I was getting paid good.
You was getting paid good.
I was getting paid good.
Because you supported us. But yeah, so it's funny because right before, after you hadn't even passed, you hadn't even taken the test yet. So Rance had decided, he's been a photographer since when? When did you start?
I would say 2012, 2013.
2012, 2013. Yeah. You know, setting it down, picking it up, and everything. And so he came to me one day and he was like, I need to get my own studio. It had been something that we were talking, but he was like serious this time. He was like, I need to get my own studio. So you had a meeting to go look at a location to get a studio, and I don't know if you asked me or I just came along.
She just came along, y'all. And that's all right. No, I did ask you.
He was like, you want to come? So we went to look at the space, and in looking at the space, the lady was like, oh, there's a space across the hall, you know, if you're interested, because her and I knew each other, and we had talked about spaces before. And so we looked at that, and then I was like, oh, this is nice, but it didn't really fit my needs. Then she showed us another space where in that space we could share. And we're like, oh man, we never thought about sharing a studio and this, that, and the other. So we were looking at that one, and it was like a 4-room area that we were putting our minds together of how that was going to work. Yep. And, you know, everything. But then Rance was like, but there's another space that I want to look at. So came to another space, looked at that one, and it was more of an open space.
Lots of windows.
Yes, lots of windows. Loved the look, but it was like, okay, it was too big for me. a little bit too big for you.
Wasn't too big. I just didn't want to pay all that.
Yeah, he didn't want to pay all that. And so I was going to look at like a smaller space in the same building, but then we ended up just coming together and having a space together. So I wasn't really looking.
Came together like Voltron.
I wasn't really looking to move out of the house. Prior to that, my studio was in the house. I liked it just because I felt that I was able to be available. I was able to work but be home at the same time.
I hated it because it was leather everywhere. I was like, leather everywhere. I can't wait till you get a space. Here we are.
Like I was saying, anyway.
You know what? Before you go on, now people can see the looks that you be giving me when we doing this podcast. Like now they can see it because I'm not editing that out. Okay, go ahead. See?
You lucky to be on camera.
You sexy. I love you.
Anyway.
Beautiful.
What was I saying?
So you were...
I liked it because I was at home. I was able to be present. You know, the kids can be doing their own thing. I'm at home. I'm trying to work. But now that I'm away and I have my own studio, I see that was toxic. It was toxic for so many reasons because I wasn't effective. I would stop to go cook dinner. I would stop to go do this. I would get pulled away. I was too accessible because the kids would just come in there. They knew where I was. They would hang out, blah, blah, blah. And I just wasn't effective. And now that I'm here, it's like I feel like the rest of everyone else. Like I go to work 10 to 4, 10 to 6, whatever, and then I come home. When I'm home, I'm able to be mom and wife, and not mom, wife, and designer, creator, boss lady all at the same time, trying to juggle it at the same time, but I'm able to separate, and it's truly nice. So,
and your output is better, like product output is better because of lack of distractions and
interruptions. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm able to basically work, but even though he keeps interrupting me here as I'm talking, but that's how it was at home. It was constant interruptions. Got your back.
I mean, you can get me back.
Anyways.
I'm just about to be transparent with people. And then another interruption was, there'd be times you down there working, looking good, and I just wanted some. Hey, take a break. So, what? We UnDivorceWitable.
Don't act like you don't do that here in your own studio, too.
Nah, I'll be busy, man. I'll be busy editing these photos.
Anyway, so now we are here. We can shoot in our own studio. And this is nice. This is really nice. Yeah. So that has been one of the biggest changes for us in 2020. Yeah, Rance leveling up, leaving that 19-year toxic career. It did support our family for a very long time. But he was mentally drained. Like, he's happier, he's nicer, he's funnier.
The jokes is popping.
Now that he doesn't have to deal with that job.
You know what I do in the mornings now, guys? I wake up and drink green tea. Something I dreamed of. It's amazing.
You sound like such an old man.
Man, I
wake up and drink green tea.
I wake up, drink green tea, sit back.
How old are you? 60?
It don't matter. It don't matter. It's a lot of 60-year-old guys who still virile like bulls.
I will say this, that you going to look at the studio and everything, even though, okay, so I had entertained moving out of the home and getting my own studio, but I always found an excuse. And then it was just kind of like, oh, why pay the money to do that? And I could save that money and just stay home. But sometimes it takes a person making a move for you to realize that you can make that move. It took Rance saying, oh, I'm going to go look for a studio and find, I need a studio, for me to be like, look, because had he not done that, I would still be at home.
Mm-hmm.
I would still be at home going crazy.
Yeah. But, and that's one thing about, like, 2020 that we've learned, too. Restrictive space, right? So you were really in a restrictive space.
Mm-hmm.
The room that you were working in wasn't that big. People have gotten divorced at higher rates in 2020. It's 2021 now, but restrictive space. Um, and so depending on how you deal with that space, so what you did was you maximized that space. Like, so you were really good at maximizing the space that you had to do what you needed to do. But when you get into a bigger space, it's great to see how you can stretch your wings,
Right.
spread out. And now you see what you can do bigger. And I think a lot of times we constrain ourselves a lot as people,
Yeah.
because we're used to a certain space, and the idea of going into something different can be uncomfortable. It's like it's uncomfortable to think about. Now you have overhead. So I was a mobile photographer for a long time, and then our sister, who shout out to her, would allow me to use her dance studio space to shoot. And so while it was cool and all, and it was, but getting up, breaking down equipment, setting up equipment, it got tiring, it got irritating, and it got to the point where I didn't want to shoot. So even when people wanted to shoot, I didn't, because I knew, I got to come in an hour earlier to set up everything.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty much staying after the shoot 30 to 40 minutes to break down, or leaving the stuff and then coming back later to come and get it. And so it gets to a point where, like what we learned in 2020 with a lot of people, is they just need a bigger space. It's not that what you had was broken, but you let the constrained space break what you had.
Yeah.
And so that's something that I really, a metaphor that is taught me here, is like, we maximized what we could do with what we were working with, but we're able to stretch.
Yeah.
And then we're able to get outside of our comfort zones. And when you do that, good things happen.
And you know what? There's something else that I learned recently, and that I've just kind of like really realized. I've been listening to a lot of, there's some people that I follow in the business world. I've been listening to their lives and taking courses and different things like that. And so I was just realizing that a lot of times, especially small business owners, and let me just be real, especially Black small business owners, we tend to restrict ourselves. We don't allow ourselves to grow. We hold on to what we have, and we don't really put ourselves in position to grow.
Yeah.
Sadly, most small business owners that are black owned, I think 80% of us are only one or two operating. We just operate with one or two people. It's like the main person and maybe an employee or whatever. We don't tend to hire people, and we need to change that, because we need to hire more people, more of ourselves, because we're struggling in that area. But I say all that to say that when you push yourself to grow, then it's like the universe answers you, and whatever you think that you're lacking or you think you don't have, you get it back. That was my problem. I didn't see like, oh, financially, can I afford this? Do I want to put myself in the position to have to afford a rent every month? But then when I put myself in position to do it, then it's like the money comes.
Yeah.
So,
and once you, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Nope.
I didn't mean to.
You did, but you
was
ahead.
flowing. I'm sorry. Finish what you said.
No, because I lost it now. Go ahead.
No, what I wanted to interject into there is, sometimes you have to do the math and break down the cost. It's one thing to say, man, I don't want to pay X amount of dollars for this. But then when you break it down compared to what you're serving or selling, you say, for me, I said a studio makes perfect sense, because I can cover rent in 1.5 to 2 shoots. A lot of times it's one shoot can pay for 3 to 4 months worth of rent. Why aren't I doing this?
Right. And then for me, it's like putting myself in position to be at a place where this is my 9 to 5. So I come here, I work, but I'm away from home. I'm more effective being mom and wife at home now, because that's where my mind is, because I'm no longer sharing that space with work. When I'm at work, sometimes the kids are here with me, but because of the pandemic and stuff, but mostly like I'm here by myself. And so I'm more effective. I'm able to produce more. In producing more, I'm able to sell more. And selling more, I'm making more. So it just puts you in that position where when you level up, it makes you have to grind a little bit more and a little harder so that you continue to grow.
And I can't wait for these kids to go back to school full time. But anyway.
Right.
One thing we didn't get to take advantage of that a lot of like childless married couples or single people who live together is the COVID sex. We didn't get as much in like people who ain't got them responsibilities. We got ours in, but there's some of y'all out there that was just Netflix and chilling to degrees that we could only imagine 9 months later. That's all I'll say.
Wow. Okay. So anyway, we talked about how you leveled up. It's kind of how we leveled up together. Mm-hmm. But one thing that 2020 has also taught was the art of the pivot. Okay. And in the art of the pivot, I learned to pivot my business. So to say, just to give a little background with my business for our new listeners and people who just may not know, I am a bag designer. So I hand make and design leather travel bags for men and women. Mm-hmm. They're all made by me. So if you go to my website, TonyBecker.com, you will see. Plug. Yes, shameless plug. You will see all the bags and everything that I actually make by hand. And of course, my thing is travel bags. So when everything got shut down, I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Because that's my 9 to 5. But not only that, another thing that I do is I do a program. I work with a nonprofit program, and I mentor girls in the schools. So of course, with schools being shut down, I couldn't even do that. So I lost the paycheck that way. And then it's like, who's traveling? Everything's shut down. Who's going to be buying travel bags if you can't travel?
I saw a couple of people walking around the neighborhoods with duffel bags. Reminiscing on the good old days.
So I was sitting here thinking but I have some loyal customers and clients who, were buying. I was still working. I said.
So what did you do?
At the beginning, I said what I was going to do was I was just going to get mad creative. I was still going to create. I was going to take this time because I wasn't creating for events and for markets. I was just going to create and keep doing it. But I realized that, everybody's wearing masks. Everybody has to wear masks. Yep. And I have a gift and talent because I know how to sew. I have a degree in fashion design. I know how to make a freaking mask. So it was like, okay, I'm going to make masks. I hesitated at the beginning because people that I would see online or whatever who started making masks, they were talking about how overwhelmed they were, how they don't have time to do anything. I had a cousin in another city who was making masks. She's a single mom. She's like, I ain't even got time to feed my kids. I'm like, okay, I'm not trying to enter this world. But I felt guilty because I'm like, you got your essential workers who are out here working hard. You got people who are using their time and their resources and their skills to help others. So this is what I have and this is what I'm going to do. I did it and oh my God, it was amazing. For me, it was amazing because it showed me how to pivot my business. How to look at the signs of the times and figure out how to make it work. Not only did I start making masks, but then I started doing clutch sets. So, because I wanted to get back to my bags. So I was making bags that match leather bags or masks that match leather bags with like an African front on the and leather on the back. I started doing those, right. And people were eating those up, and so
much so that
I got featured in the Columbus Dispatch,
which is our local major newspaper.
Yes, I was featured in that magazine, and in that day alone, I made over $1,000 in one day. My phone was just like blowing up like crazy, and I was like, and at first I didn't even realize that they were putting it in that morning. So actually, me and a good friend of mine, we have a prayer call that we do every Monday morning, and I'm sitting here. And my phone is blowing up. I'm like, what is going on? I'm trying to pray to the Lord, people, okay? And then my phone keeps blowing up. And then when I finally got the call, I realized what was going on. And so it just showed me that you can level up. You can pivot.
That phone was moving like you was flipping them birds, man. It reminded me of the old days back in the day when it was Just a
Yeah,
young
and
buck
I
out
mean,
there,
but
all the
my
crackheads
phone was
walking up.
going crazy prior to that because I was making masks.
But it
And
was really
I
wild
was,
in that day.
yeah, but that day it was just like going crazy. And so it showed me how important marketing is. It showed me how important it is to be featured, have features, you know, all that different stuff.
And it's all the stuff that like business gurus they teach, but
Mm-hmm.
it's it's way out in the stratosphere until it happens to you,
Exactly.
and you experience it. And it's like, oh man, we got to keep ramping up, got to keep this going.
Exactly.
Yep.
So in 2020, I've made more money than I've ever made as a small business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And I've made more money than I've ever made working a 9 to 5.
Yep. And
And
lucky for
so,
us, there was just nothing for us to do, so we just ordered on Amazon. Like, what we gonna spend this money on? Now we're
right.
gonna save it up, but let me get this new pack of socks right
Another new
here.
pack of socks.
I mean, it was nothing going on.
But you know what? He was fussing because Amazon was at our door like every day. Every day.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, Amazon was at our door.
FedEx,
But
same FedEx guy. Hey Jim, how you doing today? How's
But
kids?
I had to let him know because I was running a business from in the home. You know where my package is gonna come to. When I gotta order new boxes, tissue paper, whatever supplies, hardware, it has to come to the
You know,
house.
we keeping it all the way trill. I was too tired to be mad because all the hours I was pulling. Still, I was asleep just dreaming about Amazon boxes.
So how do we accomplish all of the good in 2020?
We're favored. You know what I'm saying? You know, God is good, right? God is good, right? But I think that mindset plays a part in it,
Mm-hmm.
but also, and we can't discount the fact that there were some people out there dealing with some real stuff. There were some
Mm-hmm.
people who were really trying to figure out where their next meals were coming from.
Right.
They were really trying to figure out, this whole rent thing because while they were furloughing the rent or whatever you want to call it, deferring it, come 2021, you still got to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we were blessed in a position where there was still income coming in.
Yes.
Really, the pandemic shutting everything down caused us to need to do something that we as a family needed to do, which was chill. Before the pandemic, we're going all the time, always
Mm-hmm.
moving, always going. We had to sit back and chill.
Yeah.
Um, and so I think those are some things that we learned and we were able to flourish in that because we couldn't do what we normally do, even though we had disposable income to spend and stuff like that. So our situation was different from a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's very important for us to make sure that we acknowledge that there are some people they were poor before the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
and then the pandemic comes and it's even worse.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely.
So we're just blessed all the way around. But we're also grinders and we're entrepreneurs, and that makes a difference as well.
It does. It does. And it makes a difference. And it helps too because we both have vision and dreams and we discussed what we wanted. We discussed our goals. We discussed amongst each other what our aspirations were. And so we worked together to make it happen. When even though he would work a 12-hour shift and everything, there were days when I was saying, "Did you study today? You know, how are you coming with your course and everything?" Just to make sure that he was not getting frustrated on the job and not being too tired to do that because I know what it's like where it's like you're tired, you just want to go to sleep and different things like that. But he had to keep pushing, he had to keep grinding, and it was just us coming together as a married couple to push one another, to support one another.
A lot of those things definitely made a difference. I mean, it just, spending that extra time doing all that, it was great. It helped. It changed the trajectory of the way we were coping and dealing with the pandemic because really it was difficult on the kids too. Well, not the
Yes.
kids, but more so our middle daughter than our son. He's just like, oh man, this is great. We all together. We are
Right.
living our life. I'm 4 years old. This is what it's supposed to be about. Like dude on his birthday got showered with so many gifts to the point where people were bringing gifts after his birthday. So young cuz thought that his birthday was like a week long. Like he's going to the door every time Amazon
Oh
comes
my
every day
gosh.
thinking he has a new birthday gift. So that's probably where I got irritated. It's because little man is thinking every time the door rings, he's running to the door thinking he's got something new in the mail for his birthday.
Oh my gosh.
And then when he sees it's an Amazon package, he says package delivery. Obviously, this is for me. And he's ready to open this up. And I'm still dealing with this today.
Oh,
So
goodness, he does.
he brought
Package
that into
delivery.
2021. Matter of fact, he simulates this idea of package delivery. And he comes bringing us gifts or boxes like there should be something
imaginary ones.
Christmas just passed. He opened up a lot of boxes. Lots and lots of boxes.
Oh, gosh.
And bags. He's still talking about
Christmas.
I need more gifts. So
yeah.
One thing 2020 opened his eyes about was gifts, birthdays, Christmas. He knows what it's about.
Oh gosh, yes he does. Yeah, but yeah, you were saying how it helped us as a family. You went on a tangent about the
Sorry about
4-year-old,
that, guys.
but you're talking about the 14-year-old.
No, it was tough on her to be away from her friends, to be away from all of her normal activities. And I think that a lot of kids, including my daughter, learned that this whole dream of being homeschooled sucks.
Mm.
A lot of kids was when they didn't want to get up for school at the butt crack of dawn and didn't want to stand out at the bus stop at night, basically, because it's still dark when these kids at the bus stop.
Right.
And they talk about, I wish I could be homeschooled. 2020 kids will never say that again. They hate this.
No,
Yeah.
no. But I'm sure there are some kids who don't hate it. Probably the ones getting bullied.
All I know is in Columbus, Ohio, where we live at, there's thousands of kids not going to school online.
That is true.
So
that is very true.
So imagine that. Our city is wild, man. Our city. The reason why our city is not, we got over 1 million people. I think we're 1.5 million or something like that. But people don't realize how big and major Columbus is because we don't have an NBA team or an NFL team, which would change the trajectory. Yeah. We got a bunch of knuckleheads out here not going to school.
They're not.
Not getting on.
They're not.
And then our murder rate was crazy in 2020.
Yes, it was.
Right?
Yes, it was. Because these kids are not going to school.
They always talk about Chicago. They need to talk about Columbus, Ohio. So we got a big city. We live in a major, major metro with a lot of people. And it doesn't get the credit that it deserves.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
It doesn't.
And so the kids not going to school. A lot of them are learning, but are learning that they don't want to be homeschooled. But now we got a bunch of young, dumb kids
when
around.
School opens back up.
I mean, it was dumb. Some of them was dumb anyway. And then they like behind a year and a half.
Yes. Yes.
So imagine the advantage I'm going to take on some of y'all's kids when they grown and working. No, I think you're supposed to give me 20 back. No, sir, I think the cash register says I'm only supposed to give you 10 back. But I gave you a 50. You're going to jack them up.
So anyway, 2020 has been a crazy year. It's been a year of a lot of change.
Yes.
We, thank God, have made it, and now we are here to 2021. So we are happy. This is our 3rd season with you and with UnDivorceWitable.
Episode
we
1
have
in
some
the book.
fire content to bring you guys, and we want you to just join us for the ride.
Yeah. So thanks for tuning in this week. Once again, I think we're going to talk about this on Clubhouse on Friday. So tomorrow, join us. I got to learn how to do the room and all that. I think creating a room is pretty simple. But it'll definitely be called the UnDivorceWitable room. And so if you're on Clubhouse, check us out there.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about marriage, love, all that good stuff as a follow-up to how we survived 2020. So we definitely want to hear your stories. We want to know more about what y'all was doing.
Yeah. And what you want to hear from us. What has the pandemic brought out in your marriage or your relationship that you want to hear? Maybe you want to hear if we've experienced some things or been through there, what we just have to say about it.
Yeah,
so
a lot of people were trapped together and learned a lot about each other. Yes. Positive, but seemed more negative than positive. Yes. And the other thing the pandemic showed me on Facebook with a lot of the single people that I'm friends with, who I don't even know how we became friends. There's a lot of y'all who don't know jack about being in a relationship. And it's so sad how much pressure you put on yourselves to find somebody. And I'm just glad I'm not you guys.
But we're gonna
You
try
were
to
looking
help
for
y'all
empathy?
out. We're gonna try to help y'all out.
Yeah.
I thought she was gonna say something empathetic, but he's not. We're gonna try to help you guys out though.
I don't want you alone, but some thought processes have to change.
They do.
Yeah.
They do.
So
Yes.
we'll keep it cool, keep it reverent. We'll keep referencing our good God who's always great to us. And I can't wait till next week.
Yes. Tune in next Thursday.
But join us on Clubhouse.
Tomorrow.
And you can also like our Facebook page as well.
And like our YouTube and share us. Share us, share us, share us, okay?
Yeah, don't be hogging us up. Like share us with somebody. If you think that what we bring is valuable, shoot the links off.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Tweet it. Put it in your Instagram stories, whatever. But we definitely want to grow this thing. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, till next week.
Bye.